welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we continue the playthrough for Cthulhu Death May Die Season 2, Episode 6, Endgame. We're going to pick it up exactly where we left it off in the last video. If you haven't checked out the prior videos, I'll put a link to the entire showcase in the top right-hand corner, and October 26th is when Cthulhu Death May Die hits Kickstarter again for Season 3. Really excited for that, and stay tuned to the channel too, as I'll be having some coverage around Season 3 during the campaign as well. Now, without further ado, I want to talk about a couple things that I missed from the prior video, which I'll mention here, and we'll make some adjustments as possible. The first thing I want to mention is around the toughness skill, which states you have one free reroll when attacked or rolling for fire, and I mistakenly went ahead and had a free reroll during an attack that I was performing. This is specific to when I'm attacked or I'm rolling for fire. Now, I did mention this inside of part number 1, so it's nothing we have to correct going forward, but it's worth mentioning again. At about the hour and 2-minute mark, I got a card, a discovery card for Tina, and it was this one right here, Trumpet, and on the opposite side it said Full Band, and I had a choice between the two. I had to pay 2 stress, but I didn't have the stress at the time to obtain that card. So when that happens, you either, if there is a condition on the card, would take the condition, which is kind of the free side of the card, or in this case, the card is discarded. And another correction I need to make around the hour and 10-minute mark, again, when I didn't have the stress to be able to do this, but I had a card which allowed me to go into my deck, and it was this props card, but I still had to spend 2 stress in order to claim an item from the discard pile, which I didn't have at the time. So I'll be taking that away, which means the discarded card that I did take was the Fuel Bomb. I'd taken that out of the discard pile. We're going to remove that out of the equation as well. Those were 2 different discovery cards grabs that Tina was not able to pick up. Now, here's where things change a little bit in terms of the props card, which she got as a discovery card, which, as I mentioned just moments ago, you needed 2 stress in order to claim. If you don't claim this one, it becomes a doom condition. She already has a doom condition, but now she's got another one on top of it. And that's going to square Tina up. She now has an additional doom condition, which is unfortunate based on what happened. But the prior 2 discovery cards that were a plus for her on her left-hand side have been removed in order to align with the rules at the current time when I was gaining them. No gameplay impact because we can take them away, and they were gained near the tail end of part number 1. So now we dive into part number 2, all ready to go. Tina begins her turn, and the focus for us right now is getting down to the cult leader right here, who moved at the tail end of the last video and is still holding on to dear life and trying to take that cult leader out so we can disrupt the ritual and get Hastur into play and start pummeling him. The first thing I'm going to do with Tina is to rest. She needs to get her stress and her wounds up a little bit. So we're going to bring her wounds up 2 and her stress up by 1. That should give her a little bit more wiggle room. For Tina's second action, she's going to move down here into quite the party of cultists going on. She is going to take 1 fire marker on her dashboard because she's leaving a space with 1 fire token. She instantly catches the cultist's eye in the corridor, who whips around, points at her, and her focus here with this attack being that she has the Brawling Investigator skill is going to be to divvy out wounds as she pleases, with a huge focus on hitting the cult leader. So we're going to be gathering her dice pool to make an attack. Now, looking at Tina's dashboard here, she's got a green die for her brawling skill, she's got a green die for where she is at the insanity threshold, and she also gets 2 free rerolls when attacking a target in her space. So she's got 3 black dice, 2 green, and she's got 2 rerolls on top of it. She could use the sun knife, which I might actually add into the fray, seeing as we probably want to clear up that area. And what's awesome about the Sun Knife is it's just a usable skill. Once per attack before rolling, you may take 1 wound, which I just did, to gain 2 extra dice. So now we've really got a nice dice pool, and we're going up against, in total, 3 different cultists, but our major focus is on the cult leader. And again, we can generically attack across all of them because of the Brawling Investigator skill. Normally, we have to pick a target. It should be a really exciting roll, and on top of this roll, we got those 2 rerolls, don't forget, so we can kind of manipulate things if they go sour. So let's see what we got here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 hits right there, which is fantastic. So that will wipe out actually 2 of the cultists. Now we can choose to reroll again. I probably will just stick with this black die and the sanity hit I'll take from it. This one I'm not going to bother rerolling again. Well, tough call. I might go with the 2 green here. This one I'm tempted to re-roll, but it has 3 opportunities for success versus the green one, which also has 3. So there's no difference, the major difference between them being the sanity marker. So you know what? Let's roll this one and this one. We'll leave this one alone. Let's see how we do. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is going to kill every single individual in this space. They are all gone. And of course, it's beyond what we need. We even had 1 point of damage on one of them already. So we got well and above what we needed. We only needed 5. We got 6. So the gamble with the Sun Knife ended up paying off, which is awesome. We took the last point of unholy life off of the cult leader, and as soon as we do that and attack it, it's going to move to the next spawn gate, so it's now on the red one, and we're at a spot where we could end up disrupting the ritual if everything pans out by the end of this turn. So we're going to continue on with the normal resolution. We're done. Tina's turn at this point after 3 actions. She went ahead and rested, moved, and attacked. The Mythos card off the top of the deck is Cursed Lines, has the icon on it, so we're working our way up to 3 of them, which we don't want to see, and have Hastur move on the summoning track. Right here it says lose 1 sanity for each rehearsing actor within 1 space view. Good thing they're all on break, so nothing to worry about yet. Tina also ended her turn on a safe space, so she gets sword or pen. She's got a magic book or big sword. It says props from the Catacombs of Horror. You may take 2 stress to claim either the magic book or the big sword. So both of them cost 2 stress. You can only pick one, and I do have 2 stress to spend. And this discovery, the magic book, is a huge one. It says when attacking, you may count any number of elder signs as successes. And you saw me get elder signs with Tina before, but not be able to use them as successes. I do have that ability with Bert as one of his investigator skills. So now Tina also can leverage elder signs, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to go ahead and knock my stress down by 2 to pay for that as well, because I obtained it. We now move to checking for fire, which Tina does have 1 token on her player board, so she has to roll a black die for each one. She'll go ahead and roll this die and see what she gets. That's a success, which is unfortunate because that means she takes a wound. The fire marker has been discarded and 1 wound to her. And thankfully these doom conditions do not trigger because there's no rehearsing actors within 1 of her. We now check whether the Elder One is summoning based on disrupting the ritual, and it states remove all the souls infesting the cult leader, have no unholy life tokens under it. After the ritual is disrupted, remove the cult leader from the board and place a cultist in his space. The cult leader token is taken away and a regular cultist has spawned. When Hastur is summoned, the progression token, which is underneath, will stay put. And this is the reason why I always placed a token underneath. If you didn't during setup, you can now place it in the exact same position that it was when the ritual was disrupted. And you'll also notice that we did pretty good because normally Hastur would summon into the game world by force when it hits the first red circle. So we're actually 2 steps forward on that, giving us a little bit extra time in this whole situation. Tina instantly has her hands full with Hastur in there, and the Hastur disciple, which spawned at the nearest gate, happened to be, of course, right inside the same space as well. So lots to figure out right now. Now it's worth mentioning here, there is another ability that's kind of a passive one occurring all the time. Monsters and cultists are going to gain a green die when attacking if their target has 2 or more yellow sign tokens. What's really unfortunate right now is that Bert does. The good thing is Tina doesn't yet. She only has 1. So now we're beginning a brand new turn here with Bert, who has quite a bit of action going on in his space. Now, he does not have the brawling skill, so I'm going to have to focus on 1 enemy at a time here. I'm probably going to put my focus here on this lumbering monster to the south. And also retroactively on Tina's turn, I should have taken 2 sanity hits for the 2 icons on the dice during her major attack roll. So we're going to jump her up by 2 right now. So we're all squared away with her. Just remembered I didn't do that. Now the good thing is I have Arcane Mastery with Bert here. So I'm targeting this individual here who has 3 health. So we should be okay. Famous last words. I do have the ability to use stress 2 if I need to. Oh my gosh, that was a terrible roll. Okay, so that's 1 success and 2 sanity hits. Yikes. Let's go ahead and, let's re-roll 1 and just see how it goes to see if it's worth going any further. Oh, maybe it is. Okay, I'll use 1 more stress. I'm taking these stress off camera down here. So now we're in the second last position for stress. And we're going to re-roll this one. Yes, that was totally worth it. It worked out. Okay, that is all we needed in order to take this individual down. Might as well continue the attack here. This time we'll focus on this individual here. So we're going to go ahead and attack. It only has 2 health, so we have probably a better chance of pulling this off. Our stress is getting low though. Oh, nice roll, nice roll. I think I'll be okay to take the sanity hit as well, and we'll use the 2 to take out the Hastur disciple. Now, we're not going to see Bert progress very far inside of his turn, but he was able to clear up the entire room he's in, and he's probably going to do some healing to get himself back up. So he's going to bring himself up 1 here on the wound and 2 here on the stress. That is going to end off his turn. We'll go get a Mythos card. Well, this is quite possibly the worst card I've ever seen. The Summoning. The yellow gate is going to have the same individual we just took out. Then another one is going to come in at the red gate, and a Dimensional Shambler is coming in at the blue gate. We are getting flooded with enemies. And those enemies will be coming in just a moment, but we also now have another icon here. And that was quite possibly the single worst card to have gotten at this point in time. Tina is literally sandwiched between 2 gigantic monsters on top of a Hastur disciple, and it looks like Bert, who essentially triggered this, is getting off a little easy with just 1 individual in his space. To make matters even worse, Bert here does not get a discovery card because we have an enemy in his space which is going to attack him, and the ability off Hastur's stage 2 card here says that this enemy or monster is going to get a green die on top of what it normally gets, which is 2 black dice. So things just got even worse for me. Now, at least we rested up with Bert at the tail end of his turn, so I should be able to take this beating effortlessly, I hope. I'm taking a look across my cards here to see whether there's anything I could do. There really isn't in order to help me here. Now, technically, I do have 1 free reroll because I have toughness, so we can remember that. We can use that to our advantage. So here we go. Yikes. We're going to want to do that because we just got hit 3 times. I'm going to go ahead and roll this. Well, let's re-roll this one because that way I don't have to take any... Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind. It wouldn't have mattered regardless. Either way, it's all bad news. That is 3 hits coming to Bert, knocking him from the top spot of the wound track. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're almost, well, we are a little over half dead. And if that wasn't enough, the ability right on the card itself says add success when attacking if there are no other investigators in the same space, which there isn't. So we just got hit for another wound. We are 1 away from death now. I have dodged death, I feel like, a handful of times here, but that was really, really close, taking me from full health all the way down to nothing. I'm really glad I chose to rest because, wow, that summoning card from the Mythos really messed me over. And for every wound that I just took, I place a wound on this card, so that's an additional 4. We're now changing gears over to Tina here, and as you can see up there, the Mythos card's way up in the top. We have 2 of those icons already, 1 more, and we have an advancement on the summoning track, not good. Tina completely surrounded by all kinds of enemies here. We need to strategize as to how the heck we are going to get her out of this situation before she dies. Okay, Tina, this is going to be a pretty stressful turn. So here's my plan. Whether it's going to work, that's a whole other question. What I plan to do here with Tina is she is going to turn around and she's going to face the Dimensional Shambler and she is going to target it. Now, again, with the brawling skill, I can divvy things up as I wish, so that gives me that freedom, but that's who I'm primarily trying to take down here. What I'm hoping to have happen is I'm hoping to get at least 2 sanity hits off this roll because that will push me to the next insanity threshold, which will trigger my Pyromania ability, which will then place a fire in this space and then deal wounds to all figures in this space, all other figures in this space, not me, but everybody else. And that would kill the Hastur disciple cleanly. So if I get lucky enough with this attack, I could maybe kill the Dimensional Shambler and then have the craziness of my Pyromania ability take out the Hastur disciple, and then I'm only dealing with Hastur. That doesn't even sound good. It still sounds bad, but that's my plan and I'm sticking to it. So I'm going to have my 3 black dice like I always do. I'm going to have the 1 from the top insanity track up here. I'm going to have 1 green die because I'm attacking a target in my space. And then I'm going to take a wound. That's right. I'm going to push myself right to the brink of death in order to gain 2 dice using the Sun Knife. That's going to up me to this kind of a dice pool. Plus I have 2 free rerolls inside of it. So I'm feeling pretty good. Famous last words, that I will be able to take down the Dimensional Shambler, especially with those extra rerolls on top of it, and I'm hoping to land the 2 sanity I need, as you can see at the very top there, to hit this insanity threshold and trigger that Pyromania. Wish me luck as I throw a mitt full of dice at this Dimensional Shambler. Let's see how we do. Okay, did we get what we want? Oh, we might have. We got the 2 sanity hits we wanted, so that's good. We got a blank, we got 2 hits. We did not get my, oh, actually we got 3 hits because that one counts as a hit as well. We got Elder Signs, which are good because we had the magical book. So that's 5 hits, and we only need to re-roll this, and we have 2 re-rolls. So we need to land the Dimensional Shambler's 6 health. So we need this to turn to a success, and I need to keep those 2 sanity hits to blow away the Hastur Disciple. Oh, that's a miss. Oh, 1 more re-roll. And I don't have any stress either, so I need to hit this. Come on. Now, technically, now that I think about it, I've got it anyway, because the 2 sanity right here is going to trigger the fire. The fire is going to take out the remaining health in this thing anyway. So this actually worked out regardless, and it's a blank. Okay, so what ends up happening here is we do 5 damage to the Dimensional Shambler. Now, this is the question. That's a waste. Again, I have the brawling skill, so I can distribute these damage points across whoever I want. It would make more sense to put 4 on him and put 2 on Hastur. So that works out quite nicely, and now we're going to go ahead and bump up our insanity. So we go up on the track 2 spaces, hitting the next threshold, which is going to allow us to upgrade as well, so keep that in mind. But we'll go ahead and trigger this Pyromania, which will place another fire marker, and then every individual in that space is going to take basically a hit or wound for each fire marker in there. So that's going to kill off the Dimensional Shambler at 6 health now. It's going to kill off the Hastur Disciple, and it's going to put another 2 damage on Hastur. Not bad, Tina. Not bad at all. I'm going to give myself a really nice boost on the green dice. This one right here says instead gain 2 green dice rather than this altogether, which had me taking a wound to gain 1. This one just straight up gives me 2 green dice. So that's a nice one. For my final action with Tina, seeing as she really doesn't want to be in the exact same space as Hastur and take Hastur's wrath, and she doesn't have the ability to take much because she's literally at death's door right now. Her skill, her investigator skill, Stealth, says when you run, you may sneak once. 1 enemy doesn't follow you. So I'm going to go ahead and run right now using that ability to run away from Hastur and have Hastur not follow me. If you take a look at the definition of enemies inside the rulebook, it includes the Elder One once it's summoned to the game. Now here's the only kicker. The fact that she left the area gives her 2 fire markers. Now she's going to purposely run as far away as she can so she doesn't have to deal with other enemies or a Mythos card that might bring people towards her. But those fire markers could be the end of her. Here we go. We got another one of those icons. So at the end of her turn, there's going to be a movement on the summoning track. That's not good. And then it states it's going to move all these monsters 2 spaces towards her. Good thing she ran as far away as possible. Then flip all actors in spaces with these creatures to their rehearsing side. That's not good. And then summon another one at the blue gate. So in one foul swoop, let's go ahead and do all of those changes. We ended up being lucky in terms of anything flipping for the actors because these creatures moved 2 spaces and landed in spots that did not have one of the actor tokens in them. And then the one that spawned in the blue gate area here. So we're all good there. This is the 3rd icon here. We'll put that up with the other cards, resolve it later on. Unfortunately, Tina is in a safe space. She gets a discovery card that she cannot take because she doesn't have the stress to take it. This one says Harpoon or Net. You have 1 free reroll when attacking. Ouch, that would have been nice to keep. And then the net here says discard this card to sneak past up to 3 monsters or cultists during a run. They do not follow you. I'm actually not worried about that one because I actually have the ability to get that through my Stealth Investigator skill on the next upgrade if I wish. So this one actually is okay for me to lose, although the reroll would have been nice. And here is where we determine whether Tina is going to succumb to her wounds and die. She is 1 space away from death. If she sees a single exclamation mark on these dice, and I'm rolling for fire right now, she's gone. So it's that close. We have to roll 2 black dice for both of the fire markers on here. Let's go ahead and roll the first one. Cross your fingers. She's going to need all the luck she can get here. And she is dead. Tina is unfortunately no more, and at this point she is going to lose all her discovery cards. Her miniature is going to come off the game board. She died in this location here. We're still going to go ahead here and check to see the Mythos discard because we have a summoning on the track to move, and if there's anything that relates back to where this particular investigator was in terms of spawning, we just take the point of reference as to where she died. So unfortunately our powerhouse character, the one that had by far the most dice being rolled, is gone, which is giving me very little hope that I'm going to be able to come over these crazy odds and take out Hastur. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, well, why did you bother to move out of this space? Why not just stay there? Well, if I had stayed there, Hastur would have come at me with 3 green dice, And of course, just one of those being a success would have taken me out. So technically rolling 2 black dice, not necessarily the color difference per se, but the fact that there's less dice to be rolled gave me that slight chance that I might be able to squeak by with just rolling for the fire versus rolling against Hastur's dice. So that was my logic, but I think either way, Tina was in a situation she was not going to be able to get out of. So Tina is no more. Bert is the only hero we have in play to try to take down Hastur. And at this point, because the Mythos cards had 3 of those icons up, we checked for it. We put them back and reshuffled them into the Mythos deck to recreate it. The summoning track is moving ahead by 1, and we'll go ahead and resolve anything to do with the Elder One. There are no investigators that have any rehearsing actors in their space, so that's good news. Nothing to worry about there, no stress to take. Additionally, across the other cards, when Hastur advances, you gain a yellow sign token. You summon the Hastur Disciple at the nearest gate and 1 cultist at each other gate. So normally that yellow sign token would have actually gone to Tina. So thankfully, because she's dead, no one's going to take that token. Not going to change too much because Bert already has 2 anyway, and I'm pretty sure that seems to be the threshold currently for bad things happening to people. Could get higher as we go along. And then the Hastur Disciple is going to be summoned at the nearest gate to where Tina died. So that is going to be the yellow gate, which is unfortunate because that's where Hastur is. And then 1 cultist will show up at the red and blue gate. It certainly isn't looking good here for poor Bert. He's really got himself in quite a grind. He's going to seriously need to boost his craziness level to get some more dice as quickly as possible. So Bert currently is not doing so good in the wounds department himself. He really needs to get himself rested up, but a whole bunch of people have shown up in his space and trying to cause him a whole bunch of grief. So we're going to need to roll some dice to make some attacks and try to take them out. Again, I don't have brawling with this individual, so I got to select my target. In this case, we should take out the lumbering monster here to the left, which is 3 health. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to do that. Now, he does have this snake venom and beaker here, which I'm kind of holding on to for if we actually get the opportunity to get to Hastur and throw it on them, or maybe we need it to clear up things on our way to get to where we need to go. As you can see here, there's an arrow leading into this space, but not the other way through. So to get from where he is, he needs to go into here and wrap around the stairs, come into this, and then over here. So he's going through a few enemies just to get to Hastur before he has to deal with Hastur. So could be tight. So for now, we'll just go ahead and try and clear up the room here, thanks to all the nastiness that spawned in that area. And again, we're going after this person right here. I'm not going to use anything item-wise. We're just going to go with it. Okay, that's actually not bad at all, because that's 3 right there. We do take a hit of Saint. That was a perfect roll. So this thing is out of here. That's good news. Now we're going to go after the cultist that is here. Now, do we have the ability to sneak past the cultist and just ignore it? We can bring actors with us when we leave the space, but that's not really going to help me here. So no, let's just kill the cultist. It seems like such a waste though. But I do need to heal. I do need to heal. And I need to get out of that space. That's another thing too. Like if I move, what do I do? What do I do? It's tough. Let's try and kill it. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do that. Maybe I'll bump up my craziness. Okay, that's 2. That's enough to kill off the cultist. Now, we are 1 away from getting a green die, which I really want to see, but it did not pan out. Now, I could have re-rolled, I guess. I could have forced that. That seems kind of silly, though, to try and get... No, it's not a good idea. So what we'll do is we'll keep it as is. We've got the ability to rest right now. I think it's a good idea, seeing as our wounds are so low. So we'll go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, and bring him right back up so he's got at least a fighting chance. For whatever reason, when I reshuffle this deck every single time, I only seem to ever pull the icon cards. It's brutal. So this time around, Cursed Lines, it says lose a sanity for each rehearsing actor within a space of you, and thankfully there are none. Now poor Bert needs all the help he can get, and there's only this discovery card and I think 1 more left in deck, so I'm really hoping I can gather these up to keep him going. So Confessional here says, ugh, I hate working with Gordon, he's such a narcissist. You may take 2 stress to claim the female lead. If you do not, claim the doom condition. I don't want that. What does this give us? The female lead gives us, you may perform 1 free, that's enough action each turn. That's not, this is a better card to have earlier in the game when you're trying to, control those rehearsing actors. At this point, it's not really that big of a deal, but it does give me the ability to take a wound with it. So it might be worth the 2 stress. So we'll drop ourselves down to the second last position on the stress track in order to obtain this. In this dire situation for Bert, there is one thing going for him, and that is that he is carrying around a ridiculous amount of companions. He's got the director, a star actor, and the female lead. He's pretty much putting on a play as he moves through the game. At this point, there's no end of turn effects to resolve whatsoever with Bert, so we just go right back into his turn again. So this is going to be a lot quicker because we're able to just really just keep moving with him over and over again because Tina is now gone. So we might as well get Bert on the move and into that room with all those enemies. And again, I don't have the ability to split up any damage when I make an attack, which would be something that'd be absolutely killer to have on the final character, like I had with Tina. In this case, still got to point out who I'm attacking, so we'll go for this individual first here. We got 3 black dice, and we're on the cusp of being just crazy enough to get another green die for the first time with this character, which would be awesome. Let's see if we can get what we need. I do have 1 stress left. Oh, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, you know what I think I'm going to... this is tough. Oh, this is tough. No. I won't rest before I move. I'll just do the move, which I did, and we'll go ahead and attack. I've only got a bit. Oh, wow, what a great roll. Okay, so that is enough to wipe that individual out, which is fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and roll again, although we didn't hit the sanity that we needed there, to kill off a cultist. Come on. There we go. That's a perfect result. So that cultist is gone. We bump up on the crazy track, and we're going to go up and upgrade. So Bert is going to hit this insanity threshold right here. This is perfect how this worked out. So we're going to get a green die into our pool for the next attack against the last cultist, which is awesome. So I've got that kind of ready to go up top here. We also get to bump something up here. Now taking a look at toughness, it says, instead of this, you may reduce wounds taken and loss of sanity by 1 when attacked or rolling for fire. So that could be really good to keep him alive. Now, the other option here is I could start healing stress for each elder sign you count as a success. That's really good too. That would give him a lot of flexibility and honestly makes probably the most sense. And this one here does not make any sense at all right now. So I think Arcane Mastery is going to be the one, and then this one's really tempting as well in the future. So that's that. We're going to go ahead and roll. We'll roll it right now because we have a cultist to take down, but at least to get the extra green die in the pool. Let's see how we do. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's enough successes, and we also take 2 hits of sanity, which I'm okay with because we do need to kind of push ourselves up the track. I'm all right with trying to get to the next threshold more quickly. Oh, and something I forgot, when we hit that threshold, we have a whole bunch of wounds sitting on our condition card over here. So what ends up happening is this card dumps all of its wounds. We lose all the tokens off of it, and for every wound we take off of it, we go up and heal and stress. So we're going to completely replenish our stress because we had a ton on there. We had 7, which is far and away enough to bring that back up to full. Don't want to forget that. And then we're all squared away. All right, so Bert's sitting in a little better position than he was before, and that cultist is definitely dead. So Bert is continuing to cut a path towards Hastur. We're going to go ahead and grab a Mythos card. And I did it again to myself. I pulled another one of these icons. It's like I'm trying to push time along fast. I really am not. This one here says the nearest Hastur disciple moves 2 spaces towards you, which is ironic because there actually is one 2 spaces away, so it's coming right into our space, and then the red gate is going to spawn 1. So this disciple right here is going to be moving into my space, and a new one in the very top right-hand corner. Now this Hastur disciple up here is now going to attack me, so I don't get to pull that last discovery card that I was really hoping to try and get, at this point anyway. So the Hastur disciple is going to throw 3 green dice at me, which is fun, and of course I have the ability to re-roll if I'd like to try to knock anything down. If it's too nasty, we got ourselves just 1 hit on me, so it's actually not bad. Now the card it states for this enemy, if this deals any wounds, this Hastur disciple deals any wounds, you choose one. You either take a yellow sign token, I already have 2 that would bump me to 3, or you summon a cultist in this space and it doesn't attack this turn. Now Bert has a free reroll when being attacked, so he's going to go ahead and say, forget that idea, we're going to reroll this and see if it never happens. And it does not. So no hits coming through, nothing to worry about. We are back around to Bert's turn. Again, nothing to resolve at the end of turn here. So Bert wants to kill off this disciple 100%. This time around, again, we're using 4 dice, which is great. So we're going to roll these dice. And we also get to heal stress, but again, we're completely full on stress, so we're okay there in terms of like having them to spend. All right, so that is 2 successes, and that's all we need to kill off the disciple. So that disciple's gone. Now we're in a safe space, and we're actually doing pretty good in terms of the rest category or that situation. So we don't really want to probably dart right into the room with Hastur just yet. We might want to go sit in here and take out the cultist in there and then get ready on the next turn to be in the same space as Hastur, because getting in there at the tail end of your turn can be pretty nasty. So we'll go ahead and run through the door here. We're going to attack this cultist and take it down. We're clearing up this whole side of the board, which is really nice. Okay, so that was the first time that things did not pan out for me. So I'll use 1 stress. It's my first stress on the track being used to reroll this. There we go. That's 2 hits. This cultist is gone. We've cleared that area out. And at this point, we have attacked, moved, and attacked. So that's everything we're doing with Bert. Now I'm starting to understand here. This particular episode has the Cursed Lines card multiple times. I've thought I've been seeing this more often than not. So there's duplicates of this one in there. Lose 1 sanity for each rehearsing actor. We do not have any currently, thank goodness, but that is going to be the 3rd icon, so we will be moving up the summoning track. However, just before that, we get the last discovery card because we're in a safe space. It says whip or gun. Props from the hero archaeologist. You may take 2 stress to claim either the whip or the gun. If you get the whip, you gain a green die when attacking. That would just be a positive right of the gates. If you take the gun, you may attack a target 1 space away. Ooh. Now that, my friends, is the discovery card you want to see at the end of the deck, giving my character range when he does not have range out of the gates. We spend 2 stress in order to take the gun, which I absolutely want because that's going to keep me from having to stand in the same space as the gates while I'm attacking Hastur. When there's spawns happening in those spaces, I don't want to do that. I want to be 1 space away to not be being pestered by enemies all the time. This gives me flexibility, and I actually am starting to feel somewhat confident out of nowhere. And of course, just when this game lulls you into feeling like you've got something good going for you, the Mythos deck smacks you clear in the face and lets you know you're going to be moving things on the summoning track and more bad things are coming. We're going to go ahead and reshuffle this Mythos deck. The Mythos deck has been shuffled, the progression token is moving down the track, and we are getting into the red zone here. Time is starting to tick away on us. This one will not trigger because nobody's near a rehearsing actor. We also take a look up here. It says you gain a yellow sign token. This will actually affect Bert, so he is going to take one of those yellow sign tokens, which I'll grab right now, and we'll place it in his play area as well. He's got 3 of these now. And then it says at this point we summon a Hastur Disciple at the nearest gate to Bert and a cultist at each of the other gates, as we've seen before. So here's the current state of the game board. We have the Hastur Disciple popped in right here, a new cultist there, new cultist way up in the top right. Literally looks like there's a party going on up there at the red gate, which I really don't want to be invited to. This should be an exciting turn as Bert is able to stay in the space he's currently in, using the gun he recently discovered to take a shot directly at Hastur. We can do this multiple times to try to get Hastur up to that 12 health hit limit in order to move us to the next stage. We're going to go ahead and make an attack right now. Unfortunately for Bert, he does not have the quantity of dice that Tina had. Bert here only has a 3 black dice and 1 green die thanks to how far along he's progressed in terms of the insanity thresholds, but he does have the ability to use Elder Signs as a base stat, as we know. I do have a Beaker and a Snake Venom, but I'm going to wait for moments when that makes more sense to use them. I think rolling these 4 dice, I should be able to get what I need here. We'll see. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of sanity hits. Wow. But we did manage to get 3 hits in there as well. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend my last point of stress, so I'm just moving the token off screen down to the very last spot to re-roll this one and hope we land a 4th hit. That's really what I'd like to see, and we do. We get the Elder Sign, so that's going to be 4. Now, why was I aiming for 4? Well, technically in this stage, 12 wounds are what we need to put on Hastur. We have 4 currently. This will put another 4 on with 1 action. If my next attack can land 4 damage, which would be a lot more lucky because now I have no ability to reroll, then it would leave me with at least 1 more action to potentially rest and make sure that Bert's in a good spot at the end of his turn, seeing as he is stressing himself to the max and, well, just don't want any Mythos cards to mess with me. As a result of the die roll, we're going to bump Bert up on the track as well. He's going to hit an insanity threshold, which is going to trigger his wonderful ability, which is not going to be good in this case because there's not any wounds on it currently. If we actually don't have any wounds on the card, then it actually hurts us rather than helping our stress. So we actually take a wound, but the good news is we get to upgrade one of his skills. So taking a look here, this one here would benefit other investigators, not going to be a benefit right now. This one says you may count any number of Elder Signs as 2 successes each. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I need to do in this situation. We're going to bump Arcane Mastery all the way up to get even more out of the little dice that I have. This would still be good, but we'll wait on it. So that's going to be it for that upgrade, and we still have the ability to roll here, make attacks. So Hastur has 8 damage on him, and he needs 4 more. Also worth mentioning, if I did say stage 1 moments ago, I really meant stage 2. So there's no gameplay impact, just a slip of the tongue. We're going to go ahead and roll here for the next attack, of course, with the Elder Signs being a little bit more powerful, and we got none of them. Okay, but we did get 2 successes, and I mean, that's not bad, but I have no ability to re-roll here, so we have to just take them and keep moving forward. So with the third action, we make another attack. This will end off Bert's turn, and hopefully we get at least 2 successes off this roll. Oh my gosh, we almost failed that roll, but thankfully because of this, well, we got what we needed and actually above it, because that really would count for 3 total successes now, which is pretty insane. Regardless, the extra damage does not carry over to the next stage, so be aware of that. Don't think that you can finish off a stage 2 card like we're on right now, this one here that says 12, and go, ha, I got 13 damage. The extra one's going to carry over to the next stage. That does not happen. It's all wasted. So because we defeated stage number 2, we placed the card up top. This does not stop any of its abilities on the card from triggering based on any timing mentioned on them. You're still going ahead and resolving all the abilities across all of the different stages, but you are just progressing through the cards to get to that final stage to take him out. So now we're on stage number 3. 12 health is where he's going to be reset back to for this stage 3. It says when revealed, move Hastur to the red gate. That is going to be really bad because that is just teeming with cultists right now. So Hastur shows up at the red gate, and on top of that, also any investigator that has 2 or more yellow sign tokens is going to take a wound right now, and Bert has 3. So unfortunately, another wound is going to put Bert 2 away from death after taking this wound. And it's also worth mentioning that I've placed a wound on his condition card as well. Now, something else to mention, which really doesn't sound good, is it says at the end of each turn, you gain a yellow sign token. So Bert is going to start accumulating a whole bunch of these tokens, and there's a whole pile of them still to dole out. That was Bert's final action to make that last attack. So we now move to Mythos phase. It says, is this real life? And we have that wonderful icon showing up again. Move all enemies 1 space towards you. That's not good. And then flip all actors to the rehearsing side. So all enemies in play are now going to move 1 space closer to Bert, and the 4 actors, which are currently on break, are off break as they begin rehearsing again. So the only positive that I can draw out of this situation is the fact that I don't have any doom conditions on Bert, so I don't have to worry about the end of his turn being a trigger point for losing stress. When, again, if I can't take stress, I take wounds. But there is one opportunity for those rehearsing actors to still hurt me, and that's when the Elder One advances on the summoning track. The episode card still states each investigator takes a stress for each rehearsing actor within a space of them, or wounds if they can't take stress. So that can still peg away at me. So I'm going to have to be careful and really make sure that I'm resting out with Bert, because all these wounds could start layering in a fashion that could take him out really fast. All right, so at this point, we are now checking whether we're investigating or we're fighting. We're obviously never going to be able to investigate again because we don't have any discovery cards, but we could always potentially be in a safe space. We're not in one right now. We're being attacked by a Hastur Disciple, which brings with it 3 green dice. Now, that sounds really bad because, remember, I only have 2 wounds remaining on Bert, but I do have a whole bunch of individuals I've been bringing along with me, companions, and they're each worth a value of wounds. I have one individual that has 1 wound, another 1 wound individual, and a 2 wound individual. So those can help me out if this roll goes sideways. I also have my toughness skill to reroll one of these dice. So let's see how the Disciple does against us. Hopefully not good. Okay, I'm going to reroll one of these right of the gates. Hopefully it goes away. No, stays. Okay, so we're taking 2 damage. Now, this, if I placed it right on Bert, would kill him. But I can get rid of these companions in order to mitigate this damage. So unfortunately, our star actor is going to take the blunt of this blow, and all the wounds are going to be pasted towards it. Now, it's worth mentioning that on the Hastur Disciple card, it does state if this deals you any wounds. Now, this is where it gets a little bit sticky as to whether or not the Hastur Disciple has to specifically deal wounds to Bert, but when it talks about you, it's talking about the player character in general. So wounds did come through regardless of them being on the companion, so this ability would still apply. It says we either choose to take a yellow sign token, which would tip him up to 4 of these yellow sign tokens, which certainly doesn't sound good based on the fact we've taken wounds from some of them before. And then the other option is to summon a cultist in this space, but it doesn't attack us. I don't know which one's the best to do here. I mean, it is fortunate that the Elder One has moved closer to us through the Mythos cards. We don't have to do as much movement, but bringing another cultist in this space does not sound like a good time management situation. I ended up deciding to take a cultist. I'm going to try to slow down how many of these yellow sign tokens I'm taking. However, at the same time as saying that, because I've ended my turn and we are on stage 3, looking through the stage cards, it does have a trigger ability here. It says at the end of each turn, you gain a yellow sign token. So we're getting one anyway. So here it is right here. You'll see the stack of yellow sign tokens I still have to gain potentially in the future above. So now I have a total of 4 and we go into Bert's next turn. Bert is going to go right after the Hastur Disciple right at the gate. So we have our 4 dice here. We're going to go ahead and make a roll, see how we do. Oh, geez, that is not good. But that's 2 successes off the other sign. So that is a kill, but we also take 2 points of sanity, which is pretty rough. And I have no ability to reroll anything. So that is the way it sticks. So the Hastur Disciple is dead. We jump up the track by 2, getting closer to that threshold. And now we're going to go ahead and deal with the cultist that spawned in thanks to the Hastur Disciple ability. See if we can get rid of it. Oh my gosh, what a crazy roll that was. Look at how much damage that would have been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 sanity hit. Well, at the end of the day, this thing is absolutely dead, and that is going to trigger my next, or it's going to trigger my sanity condition and an upgrade as I hit my next threshold, but also give me a new green die to use. So as I've hit the new threshold, I've added a die to my pool going forward, and also worth mentioning, I have 1 wound sitting on here. So we're going to go ahead, remove the wound, and we're going to gain ourselves back stress, which is nice. Doesn't really help us too much, but hey, getting back any stress is good. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna upgrade a skill here. Now, taking a look at what I could do, I'm not really gonna go with smarts. I think I'm gonna go with toughness. So this says you have 1 free reroll when attacked or rolling for fire, but instead we could take this next one, which will completely remove this one from, some of these kind of layer on top of each other, and other ones will have the keyword instead, which means instead of the prior one. It says you may reduce wounds taken and loss of sanity by 1 when attacked or rolling for fire. So that's definitely sounds like a good thing. Here's a close-up so you can see this skill in all of its detail, and you can also see that it can be upgraded even more for better benefits. Now, as much as I'd love to go ahead with my final action and shoot this thing, I really do need to rest. I cannot be on the brink of death every single time and having to kill off these other companions that I do have with me, so we're gonna go ahead and rest for 3. I'm going to go ahead and decide to bring this back by 1 stress and 2 wounds. I think that'll give me enough wiggle room. The Mythos card off the top of the deck, it says Hastur Disciple. So it says each Hastur Disciple moves 1 space towards you. There's only 1 in play, and thankfully it won't reach me. And then another one's going to summon at the blue gate. Really glad I got rid of the one in my space for sure. And we got another icon. So 2 of those icons now. We get a 3rd one, and we're advancing on the summoning track again. So a Hastur Disciple came out of this group into here, and we had 1 spawn over here. We end off another turn for Bert, and that's going to mean another yellow sign token coming to us for a total of 5. All right, let's go ahead and do some shooting here. We're going to try and clear out this room and maybe get into this next room, although there's wonderful fire in there we'll have to deal with if we decide to move out of the room with fire in the future. But getting in there will at least present us the option to take shots at Hastur from 1 away. So for now, let's work towards that. Let's go ahead and roll some dice. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to roll my 2 green that come off of my crazy track or insanity track, the 3 black dice that I have. Again, I've got those awesome double successes, which are great. I'm in a better place with my stress than I was. And we're going to roll to hit this thing right here. And as of right now, it's a toughness of 3 wounds we need to get in order to kill it off. So we should, famous last words, be able to pull this off. Ooh, that's a cocked die, but let's see how we get. There we go. That is a lot of successes. We end up taking 1 point of sanity if we want to. Oops. So the question really becomes, do we want to take that? Nah, probably. Probably I just will. I'll just uptick my sanity track by 1. We're getting, this is the other thing too, we're also getting dangerously close to a death from that alone as well. I'll show you this track in a second. We are 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from death on the sanity track. So we're pushing things pretty close to the edge here, but I don't think I have too much of a choice. This thing is dead. We're going to go ahead and attack the next character here, and that's going to be the Disciple. The same roll for an action number 2. Is that enough? Yes, it is. We also take a point of sanity. I probably want to re-roll that away. So let's use a point of stress. So I'll drop myself down to the 2nd last position. We'll re-roll this, see if we can get rid of that. Oh my gosh. It just ended up being the exact same. Regardless, I could re-roll it again, but I won't. I'm going to actually take it. Yikes, this is getting dangerous. This is getting very dangerous. I'm going to need to up my ability to rest. But anyway, this thing is dead. So after taking the 2 pot shots for the 2 actions to kill off these guys, I'm in this space. I might as well rest. And just so I have the ability to re-roll away any more of the tentacles I get in the future, we need to bump this up. So we're going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3. We're going to go all the way up with stress. It really does feel like this Mythos deck wants to kill me. I got another one of these icons here. This does not apply whatsoever, but this does. We're going to go ahead and spawn at blue. So way up there behind Hastur, we have 3 of those icons at this point in Bert's turn. We're going to be reshuffling the Mythos deck back together and moving on the summoning track. The progression token advances 1 on the summoning track, and at this point we take a look for anything where it states when the Elder One advances across the episode card or any one of the stage cards going from stage 1 all the way through to 3. So first here it says each investigator takes a stress for each rehearsing actor within a space of them, so we can take a stress. So that's a good thing because we couldn't, we'd be taking wounds. So Bert is going to take a stress because he's in the space with a rehearsing actor, thanks to them all starting to chant again right around him, which is fun. And then the next thing we do is take a look through the stage cards. Now, stage number 1 here says when Hastur advances, which just happened, but really in this case, the progression token, you gain a yellow sign token. So we're going to gain a yellow sign token from up here. This is going to go into the pile. We have 6 now for Bert, which is not fun. Then it says summon a Hastur disciple at the nearest gate, 1 cultist at each of the other gates. There's nothing else across the other stage cards, stage 2 or 3, for any advancement, so we'll do those spawning in a second. But one thing I did catch that I missed is just moments ago, remember when the Hastur disciple attacked Bert? Well, I should have given the disciple an extra green die thanks to the stage 2 card that is a passive ability that's always on for Hastur going forward in terms of enemies. So in this case, I should roll another green die because there would have not just been the 3 from the Hastur disciple, but actually a 4th one, and we'll see what happens. It's a success, so we are going to take something, a companion from Bert, because he has a couple of them, and kill one of them off to pay for our sins. So that is going to be the female lead card being removed. Now, because I forgot to do that at the appropriate time, which wasn't that far back, I'm not going to go ahead and place an equal amount of wounds here on this card, just based on when things are triggering. I've actually been jumping quite a bit with the sanity, so I'm going to skip past any wound placement on this, which would have been a benefit for me. It's actually a detriment to not put one there, but I kind of deserve it for forgetting this. Now we're going to go ahead and spawn the Hastur disciple and the cultist based on Hastur's stage 1 card. And to end off Bert's turn, we take another yellow sign token. That is a total of 7 of them now, and we move into Bert's next turn. Bert is going to go ahead and open fire into a space he wants to walk into first, so he's going to go ahead and grab his dice, and he's going to make a roll here. Let's see how we do out of the gates. We got ourselves, oh, that's a clean nice. No sanity hits whatsoever there. That's awesome. So the disciple is dead. We're going to go ahead and move finally out of this position into the space with fire. But again, we don't take the tokens on our player dashboard until we leave a space with fire. But now we're in a position to actually shoot Hastur. Now this is going to be absolutely insane, and for the sake of time and the fact that I'm so near death on my sanity track, I need to go nuts here. So I've got 1 attack. What I'm going to do is boost this thing through the roof. So this is going to be kind of fun. So we're going to take the 3 black dice. I'm going to be rolling them. I've got 2 out of the gates, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and discard Snake Venom, which is a card that I discovered earlier on. And this is going to gain me, it says discard this card before rolling an attack to gain 3 green dice. Done. I'm doing it. Now here's what's even cooler. There's no limitation on the amount of green dice you can add to a roll. So like basically if you don't have enough dice to make it, to do the roll itself, then you just re-roll the dice. But I do have enough dice. So I'm literally going to grab a bag off to the side here. And we are going to also add into the fray a beaker. We are going to go absolutely crazy here and add another 3 green dice into the fray. These are coming from the regular green dice and are not the fancy ones from the Kickstarter. So there we go. That is going to be a crazy roll. Now you might be thinking that's mass overkill, and it probably is. But I want to get 12 damage. I want to rip through an entire stage in a really quick amount of time to get him to move to the other gate, because he seems to be jumping from gate to gate, and go after him as fast as possible. So this sounds like overkill, but I don't want to be using all of my stress to reroll. I just want to get what I need. Now, what's dangerous by rolling this many dice is there is a high chance that I could hit an insanity threshold, but I'm not worried because I'm butting right up against one. So no matter how much sanity I take here, I can only take up to the next insanity threshold. So it's a great time to do this kind of crazy roll. So let's go ahead and see, can we put 12 damage onto Hastur in one foul swoop, mixing together a beaker, also mixing together some snake venom, and on top of it, shooting it out of a rifle. This sounds like the coolest way to take down an enemy ever. So here we go. Hopefully it's good. Oh my gosh, there was so many blanks on that roll. What the heck? That was terrible. Good thing I rolled all these dice because, oh, look at this. Look at this. We got it anyway. Because of the Elder Sign double success, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10... Sorry, my counting's off. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So, you might have laughed at me thinking that throwing all that in there wasn't worth it. It ended up being exactly what I needed. We just ripped through stage number 3. Now, not only did we rip through stage number 3, but I didn't get any sanity hits whatsoever off the black dice. Remember, you're not going to get them off the green dice, but the black dice could have pushed me to that insanity threshold right there, and I'm getting dangerously close, but nothing here to worry about. Moving on past stage number 3, we're entering the final stage. 12 damage needed to kill Hastur. It says, when revealed, move Hastur to the yellow gate. Oh no! I think I thought in my head for some weird reason it was going to the blue gate, but I think it's already been at the blue gate, then the red, now it's going to yellow, so it's going to land in the same space as Bert. That is going to give Hastur, I think, a little bit, well, maybe not the upper hand per se, but it's going to make us face off a lot faster than I would have expected. Oh, and the other thing too is, I just finished my final attack and in Bert's turn. I'm not going to be in a safe space. I'm going to be in a space with Hastur. This is definitely not going to be good. Okay, so let's keep reading here. Each investigator with 2 or more yellow sign tokens, which I have, takes 2 wounds. Okay, well, I'm taking those 2 wounds. I'm going to kill off my last companion on Bert, so that's going to be this one right here. The director is now dead. That's for 1 wound. The other wound will come from his track, so now he is down 2 positions on the track. He can take 2 wounds and still be alive, but a 3rd wound will kill him. So he's that close to death. What else does it say here? Any one investigator may sacrifice themselves, take wounds until death to stop the effect. Well, I don't have the investigators to do that, so it's not an option. And then it says, at the end of each turn now, we're going to roll a black die for each yellow sign token you have. Oh my gosh, that's going to be bad. Take 1 wound for each success and lose a sanity for each tentacle rolled. Okay, this is gonna be a crazy ending if I can pull this off. This was not the card that I wanted to see come off the top of the Mythos deck. Rapturous Frenzy, an icon on it, but it also states each cultist moves 1 space towards you and you summon 1 at the red gate. So things went from having a glimmer of hope to looking extremely bad. As you can see here, 4 cultists came in from this room here, moving 1 space in. This one came from this space, and this one came from the red gate. So we also had some movement over here, but they didn't really actually have much impact anyway. But 4 cultists showing up inside the same space as Hastur at the end of Bert's turn here, right before we check whether we can investigate or fight. The fight step is going to be absolutely crazy. So Hastur is going to attack me first here. This is not good. So Hastur has a green die here, 3 green dice here, and 3 black dice. So 4 green, 3 black coming my way. So just so you understand, I only have the ability to take 2 wounds. A 3rd wound will kill me, and I do have the ability to take 3 stress. So I could do some rerolls here, but and I also have a free reroll when attacked. So there's that, but I don't know if it's going to help me in this situation. So let's see how it goes. Oh my gosh, Hastur, what a brutal roll. There's nothing I can do. I mean, even if I stress rolled away 3 for all the stress that I had gone, and then I re-rolled 1 for toughness, I still have 3, and that is enough to kill me. That roll right there was enough. I think Hastur knew he had me in that moment. I thought I was going to be in a good spot. I was not. Things did not pan out, but you can see how close you can get, where my character was on the verge of going insane and becoming extremely powerful, able to put lots of damage against Hastur. The game does such a great job of making you feel like you're becoming a powerhouse by going crazy, and you are. You're able to rip through stages at certain points like I did in the prior stage there when I threw all kinds of dice at Hastur, but just when you feel like you're getting kind of a step ahead, the game has such a fantastic way of turning things on its head on you, and you just don't see it coming, and this is a great example. So regardless of Bert going ahead and re-rolling 3 of these successes away, hoping that they're blanks, which would be a miracle in and of itself, and then of course using the free re-roll for toughness, which let's say these all landed as blanks as I mentioned, then we'd have these 3 come through and that would be enough. 1, 2, 3, I have no more companions to take away. That is the end of Bert. There was nothing more that could have possibly been done. The only thing I could have done would have been to not be in that space. So maybe moving into a better position, potentially running from here maybe. You know, I don't know, to be honest, because where I actually shot from this room into this room, the only thing I could have done was maybe move into the streets and take the shot, and that would have been a smarter strategic idea because I wouldn't have run the risk of Hastur showing up in my space, so I might have been able to do it from there. But it still wouldn't have stopped all the cultists from coming my way. Hastur would have spawned here at the yellow gate. The cultists that were 4 of them in here would have come down at me. So then I would have been taking, what is it, like 2 green dice for each cultist, which is actually pretty bad. It's almost as bad as this. But at the same time, you got to remember, even if I got through this roll, I still have to take attacks from each of the cultists. So regardless of Hastur's roll, I was in a really bad situation. But I'm really surprised that Bert was able to get as far as he did, especially with Tina dying. And to me, Tina was the powerhouse. She was able to roll a ton of dice very early on, and she was just over halfway down her insanity track. So she was becoming kind of like a powerhouse to the point that she probably would have been able to burn through a lot of what Hastur had throwing at us, but I couldn't keep her alive long enough. So again, just another example of the twists and turns you have to deal with strategy-wise to take down the Elder One. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up the playthrough for Cthulhu Death May Die Season 2, Episode 6, Endgame. It was really fun to kind of jump to the back end of what was available in terms of content from the prior Kickstarter. There was more beyond that, too. There were some lost episodes as well. But this was a cool one to do because it wasn't one of the initial ones and may not have been played anywhere else very much. So you got to see a completely different thing going on here. And Hastur was also the perfect Elder One to tie to this particular episode. So that was a lot of fun. The rehearsing of the different actors going on and having Hastur in there throwing out his yellow tokens, like it jived really, really well. I'd love to try this again. Take Bert and take Tina and go at it again and see if I can actually pull this off. Knowing what I know about the combination of the episode and the Elder One, you kind of gain a little bit of knowledge. But remember, you can always mix and match things inside this game. So even if you get used to the episode, you can switch to a different Elder One to get a completely different feel and dynamic to the strategy with the same episode tiles. So that's one of the coolest aspects of the game, is its replayability, which truly is nuts because every Elder One allows you to essentially play that same scenario again in a totally different way. But I digress, because both my characters died horrible, horrible deaths, but I really hope you enjoyed this playthrough, and it helps you make an informed decision on the game. It lets you see it in action, and also gives you that glimpse of further content down the line. But be aware of the fact that on the channel in the very near future, during the campaign for Cthulhu Death May Die Season 3, I am going to be doing coverage of a prototype from Season 3, which I'm really excited to do on the channel. Something I think a lot of you guys are going to want to see in terms of the new content, see it in action. So hopefully you'll join me for that. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay tuned for when that lands. It'll be during the campaign window. Really looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.